We're counting down the 10 crops every home gardener should plant in March for their best harvests of the year. From hardy staples that thrive in cool soil to quick-growing greens that vanish at the first sign of heat, these beginner-friendly choices are ranked by how much the March window shapes their success. Miss the timing, and you risk smaller yields, tougher flavors, and far more work battling pests and summer stress. Which crop earns the top spot for urgency and payoff? Let's begin with number 10. In 10th place, potatoes set the tone for early spring planting with a tradition that goes back generations. March offers the perfect window to lay seed pieces in cool, loose soil, often around St. Patrick's Day, when the ground is just workable and temperatures hover above 45 degrees. Planting now means each sprout gets a head start, sending roots deep before the soil heats up. The key to a strong potato crop is trenching the seed pieces 4 inches deep, then mounding soil over new growth 2 or 3 times as the shoots stretch upward. This repeated hilling keeps developing tubers covered, shielding them from sunlight that would turn them green and bitter. Waiting until April or later can leave too little time for hilling, leading to fewer, smaller potatoes and a higher risk of sun greening. While potatoes require a bit more effort than some spring crops, the payoff is a hearty, storable harvest that anchors the pantry well into summer. March. Planting gives these staples the steady, cool start they need for reliable yields with less fuss as the season warms. Number 9. Onions and leeks thrive when planted in March, taking full advantage of cool, damp soil before the rush of spring warmth. Planting sets just 1 inch deep lets roots settle and anchor well before the rapid growth triggered by longer days. This early start is essential for producing full-sized bulbs that can be cured and stored for up to 6 months, making them a reliable pantry staple long after the growing season ends. Waiting until later in spring often leads to smaller bulbs and weaker necks, which are more prone to spoilage and do not store nearly as well. Both onions and leeks are forgiving for beginners. Once planted, they need little more than consistent moisture and a weed-free bed. The key is to keep the soil evenly moist as bulbs begin to swell, supporting their transition from leaf to storage organ. March planting gives these alliums a quiet head start, allowing roots to establish before summer stress arrives, and setting up a low-maintenance, long-lasting harvest with minimal fuss. 8th place. Cabbage claims its spot as a cool season staple that thrives when planted in March. March timing is critical for forming tight, crisp heads before the first heat waves of late spring. Starting seeds indoors in late winter, or transplanting young plants outside as soon as the soil is workable, ideally when temperatures are consistently above 45 degrees, gives cabbage a head start that is hard to beat. With about 16 inches between each plant, roots have room to anchor deeply and draw in nutrients, while the cool air keeps leaf growth steady and compact. As March transitions into April, moisture management becomes especially important. The final 2 to 3 weeks before harvest are when heads firm up. Consistent watering during this period prevents sudden bursts of growth that can split the heads, a common problem if planting is delayed and rain follows a warm spell. Planting in March simplifies care, reducing the need for pest control and heavy feeding later. The result is a crop of dense, unblemished cabbage heads that store well and require little fuss, making cabbage an ideal choice for gardeners who value reliability and low maintenance.
The only thing we promote on this channel is our own book, written from the way our grandparents actually lived. Before gardening became complicated, they grew food a little at a time, every day. For them, 30 minutes was enough. So that's why we turned that forgotten knowledge into the 30-minute-a-day garden, a practical guide based on what real families did to stay fed, resilient, and independent. Simply click the first link in the description, or if you're watching on TV, scan the QR code in the right corner, because once this knowledge is gone, it's gone for good.
Number 7. Broccoli rewards early attention with one of the most satisfying harvests in the spring garden. The secret to growing large, dense crowns is transplanting seedlings as soon as the soil warms to about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. A simple soil thermometer takes the guesswork out of timing. When set out in March, broccoli gets the cool, steady weather it needs to build strong roots and push up a central head before the first warm spells arrive. Waiting even a couple of weeks can force the plant to rush, resulting in undersized button heads that never fill out. Early planting also means a longer window to enjoy side shoots, those smaller florets that keep coming after the main head is cut. That can stretch the harvest for several weeks, making broccoli one of the few crops that keeps giving well into late spring. Before the central crown forms, a light top dressing of compost or balanced fertilizer helps fuel the final push. March transplants settle in quickly, needing only regular moisture and occasional weeding. By the time summer heat sets in, the plants are well established, their roots anchored deep, and maintenance drops to a minimum. Broccoli's early start is a gentle reminder that timing in the garden is less about the calendar and more about sensing when the soil is ready, giving each plant a fair chance to reach its full potential before the race heats up. Number 6. Beets offer a practical lesson in early spring efficiency, delivering 2 harvests from a single planting. Sowing beet seeds directly in March takes advantage of cool, moist soil, which encourages both sweet, tender roots and a flush of edible greens. Each seed is actually a cluster. After the first true leaves appear, it is important to thin seedlings to one plant every 2 to 4 inches. This simple thinning gives the remaining plants room to grow, allowing each root to swell into a plump, uniform bulb instead of competing for space and nutrients. Early planting means the greens are ready to harvest in just a few weeks, while the roots continue to size up well into early summer. Waiting until April or later often results in smaller, woody roots and fewer quality greens, because rising soil temperatures can stress the plants and slow their growth. Beets are forgiving. They tolerate light frost and do not demand much beyond regular watering and a weed-free bed. By starting in March and following a sow-thin harvest routine, gardeners gain not just a reliable crop, but also the practical habits that pay off with other root vegetables later in the season. Think of early planting as giving plants a head start before a race. Letting roots settle now means less stress later and an easier, more productive season. Number 5. Carrots depend on a careful start in March to develop those classic, straight, sweet roots. Cool, moist soil creates the ideal environment for seeds to germinate, though patience is required because carrot seedlings can take up to 2 weeks to emerge. Begin by preparing a deep, stone-free bed. Carrots send their roots straight down, so any clumps or rocks can cause them to fork or twist. Sowing in March takes advantage of lingering soil moisture and gentle temperatures, giving roots time to anchor before the heat of summer arrives. If planting is delayed even by a few weeks, warming soil often speeds growth above ground before roots have fully developed, which can produce stunted or corky roots. After sowing, keep the soil surface consistently damp. A dry crust can stop germination entirely. Once seedlings appear, thinning is essential. Removing extras early ensures each carrot has space to grow long and slender. Early varieties can be ready to harvest in 8 to 10 weeks, with flavor and sweetness peaking when growth is steady and unhurried. A March start sets carrots up for low-maintenance care, with minimal weeding, steady moisture, and little intervention until harvest. This gentle investment of time and preparation pays off with crisp, vibrant carrots that store well and taste their best. Radishes. Radishes are number 4 on the list, and they deliver the fast turnaround in the spring garden. Sown directly into loose, well-drained soil as soon as it is workable in March, radish seeds need only a light covering, about a ½ inch deep, and a gentle press to ensure good seed-to-soil contact. In cool March soil, germination can happen in just a few days, and the roots swell rapidly, often reaching harvest size within 21 to 30 days. This speed means that by the time most other crops are just settling in, radishes are already ready to pull, offering a tangible win early in the season. Succession sowing every 10 to 14 days keeps the harvests coming, providing a steady supply of crisp, peppery roots for salads and snacks. Early planting also helps radishes develop their best flavor and texture, because as temperatures climb in late spring, roots can become woody or overly spicy, and growth slows. Minimal effort is required. Thin seedlings, lightly to 1 inch apart once the first true leaves appear, and water consistently to avoid splits. As a bonus, radishes naturally loosen and aerate the soil, making it easier for slower-growing crops to follow. These quick results not only boost morale, they also set the pace for a productive spring, showing how a small investment of time in March can pay off with rapid, reliable harvests. Number 3. Spinach stands out as a spring essential for gardeners who want reliable, nutrient-packed greens before summer arrives. Direct seeding spinach in March takes advantage of its remarkable cold tolerance. This is a plant that shrugs off frosts down to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, making it one of the hardiest leafy crops in the garden. Early sowing is more than tradition. It is a practical strategy to sidestep the biggest threat to spinach, bolting. As soil warms and days lengthen, spinach rushes to flower, trading tender leaves for tough stalks and a bitter taste. Delaying planting by even a few weeks can mean the difference between lush harvests and a sudden, rapid decline in quality. Spinach prefers rich, neutral soil that drains well but holds consistent moisture. Adding a thin layer of mulch after sowing helps lock in that moisture, keeping roots cool and steady as the weather shifts. Choosing slow, bolting varieties like Bloomsdale or Tyee extends the picking window, but timing remains critical. Once seeds are sown, thin seedlings to about 4 inches apart to give each plant room to form a full rosette of leaves. March planting lets you harvest baby leaves in as little as 4 weeks, with mature leaves ready soon after. This early window is not just about speed, it is about giving spinach a head start before the heat triggers its natural urge to reproduce. By working with the plant's biology, gardeners set themselves up for weeks of easy, low-maintenance harvests. The result is a steady supply of iron-rich, vitamin-packed greens with minimal effort and no need to chase shade or fight pests later in the season. Planting spinach in March is like letting it settle in before the race heats up. Roots anchor deep, leaves fill out, and the harvest comes just as the rest of the garden is waking up. Lettuce brings the promise of crisp, fresh salads straight from the garden, often within just 4 to 6 weeks of sowing. March is the key moment for planting, when cool, moist soil encourages rapid germination and keeps leaves tender. Lettuce is highly sensitive to heat, so delay planting and the crop quickly shifts from leafy growth to tall, bitter stems as it bolts in rising temperatures. By starting in March, gardeners avoid this rush to flower and instead harvest sweet, mild leaves at their peak. Think of early planting as giving plants a head start before a race, letting roots settle before summer stress arrives. Succession. Sowing every 12 to 15 days ensures a steady supply, so there is always a new batch ready to pick just as the previous one is finishing. This routine is especially rewarding for beginners, offering fast results and continuous harvests for sandwiches, wraps, or salads with minimal effort. Lettuce prefers fertile, evenly moist soil and benefits from partial shade as days warm, especially in southern gardens where spring heat can come on quickly. Thinning seedlings to the recommended spacing for each variety, usually 6 to 12 inches, helps each plant develop a full head or a lush rosette of baby leaves. If planting is put off until April or later, the window for quality harvests narrows, and leaves can turn tough or bitter almost overnight. Early planting means less need for pest control or shade cloths later, reducing maintenance as the season progresses. In practical terms, March lettuce delivers immediate value to the kitchen, providing greens just when they are most welcome after winter. For gardeners looking to stretch their growing season and enjoy effortless, ongoing harvests, lettuce is a simple, satisfying choice that thrives on timely action. And finally, in first place, peas set the standard for time-sensitive spring planting. As soon as the soil reaches 40 degrees Fahrenheit and can be worked without sticking to your boots, it is time to sow these cool weather champions. Peas are among the earliest seeds that can be safely tucked into the garden, thriving in the lingering chill of March when most other vegetables are still waiting for warmth. This early start is not just a tradition. It is a measurable advantage. Delaying pea planting until April or later can slash your harvest by 20 to 30%, as rising temperatures push plants to flower and fade before pods have a chance to fill out. Early sowing lets roots anchor firmly and vines climb steadily, all before the heat and pests of late spring arrive. Peas offer more than just an early meal. They are natural nitrogen fixers. Their roots host beneficial bacteria that pull nitrogen from the air and enrich the soil, leaving it better for whatever follows. For gardeners, this means healthier crops in the months ahead, with less need for fertilizer. To give peas the best start, direct sow seeds about 1 to 2 inches deep and space them 2 inches apart in rows. If you want to boost their performance, consider dusting seeds with an inoculant, a simple powder that introduces friendly bacteria and can improve yields, especially in new beds. Moist, well-drained soil is key, and a basic soil thermometer takes the guesswork out of timing. By week 4, young vines will be looking for support. Installing a trellis or simple netting at planting saves trouble later and keeps pods clean and easy to pick. Early planting also means fewer problems with powdery mildew, aphids, and root maggots, which tend to arrive as the season warms. Maintenance is minimal. Keep the bed weeded, water during dry spells, and let the vines do the rest. Harvest begins in early summer, just as other crops are settling in, offering crisp sweet pods at a time when fresh produce is most welcome. Planting peas in March is like giving your garden a running start. Roots settle deep, vines climb high, and the soil itself is improved for the crops that follow. Missing this window means not only a smaller harvest, but also more work later, as plants struggle in heat and face mounting pest pressure. For a truly reliable, low-fuss crop that pays off in both yield and soil health, peas are the clear frontrunner for March planting. Across all 10 crops, one pattern stands out. Nature rewards those who plant with the season, not against it. March's cool soil and rising light are not just a calendar date. They are the starting gun for healthy roots and easier harvests. Growing food is less about speed and more about timing. Success in the garden begins with understanding nature's schedule. Thanks for joining us. Happy planting this spring.